Gurave Namaha. Om Om Om. Today being Wednesday, 4th, so we shall do Sugama. Okay. In Sugama, that one part is still hanging. 49th nalli in my small book, in this book, page number 80. Okay. Now let us say, Nanucha dehatirikta kartrubhoktru jnanamapi vidyaiva. The Purvapakshi was telling that even knowing oneself to be different from one particular body and is capable of assuming any number of bodies, which shows I am not connected to a particular body. This jnanam is Atma Jnanam, Purvapakshi says. This is jnanam alone. Tat katham tad jnana sahitaha karmi syat avidvan. Then how can you say that such a jnani, tad jnana sahitaha tat katham tad jnana sahitaha karmi syat avidvan? Then such a person, how can you call him ignorant? He says, Prakcha tatha bhutatma vijnanat pravartamanam shastram avidyavad vishayatvam nati vartate. Before you know Atma to be the Chaitanya Atma, pure Chaitanya Atma, until then, whatever kind of knowledge you have about the Atman, all that comes under ignorance alone. Because whether you are connected to one body or many bodies, assume many bodies, you continue to be individual. That knowledge of yourself as an individual itself shows your ignorance. This is what Siddhanti replies. So, ayam artha. Navayam karma jnanam tadartham atma jnanam va karmadhikara karanamiha iha apavadamaha ityuktameva. See, we don't deny that your knowledge that Atma is more than the one connected to one body. Okay. Atma is capable of assuming many bodies, not limited to one body. Yeah, this way. Atma is not limited to one body. I think certain expressions from Sanskrit to English, when you translate, limited to one body. Okay, that Atma Jnanam, knowledge of the Atman, that it is limited to one body, is Jnanam, is Ajnanam, and it is connected to many bodies. Navayam karma jnanam tadartham atma jnanam va karmadhikara karanam apavadama. That it is not limited to one body, but capable of assuming many bodies. This knowledge is no doubt required for Shastriya karma. That I am limited to one body is not enough. If a person thinks that I am in this body alone, when this body dies, I die. I don't exist. He is an atheist. A person who thinks that Atma doesn't continue after the death of the body, this one body, he is an atheist. An atheist doesn't know that Atma is connected to another body. It can assume it can go to other loka, it can go to paraloka, it can assume other bodies. So if this knowledge of the Atman is not there, he cannot do any Shastriya karma. Because Shastriya karma is a sadhana for assuming, it is a sadhana for living in another body, in another loka. Okay. Unless you believe that I am beyond this one body, I am beyond one body, not totally bodiless. See the difference. Beyond one body is different. Beyond one body or totally bodiless. Neither one body nor many bodies. Totally bodiless is different. So therefore, to be able to do Shastriya karma, you should know that you are more than one body, yet you are connected to, capable of going to other lokas and other bodies. Then such a person alone can do Shastriya karma, not the atheist who thinks that I am limited to one body. Okay? I am just as much as one body alone. If a person thinks that, he is not fit for Shastriya karma, because Shastriya karma assumes your continuation into another body. Okay? Your continuation into another body and another loka. Continuation after the death of the body into another body or loka. So your continuation into another body and another loka, this jnanam is necessary for doing Shastriya karma. But Purupakshi says, this itself is Atma Jnanam, that I am more than one body, that I continue into other bodies or other loka. Now this jnanam, see, this jnanam is more than a Nastika's jnanam. This jnanam is a higher jnanam compared to Nastika's jnanam. And but Purupakshi says, this jnanam itself is Atma Jnanam, and therefore how can you call him Ajnani? But Siddhanti says, even if you know that Atma is beyond one body, continues into other bodies and other loka, this jnanam is not Atma Jnanam, because it is still individual Atma only. It is still individual Atma only. He has not dropped individuality. He has not dropped that individuality. Therefore, even that jnanam is ajnanam only. Tadrisha jnanam tu Adhyasa lakshana avidyantapatyeva bhavati. See, that I am more than one body, I continue into other bodies, other loka, this jnanam falls within basic adhyasa. Adhyasa means misunderstanding about oneself. The real self is neither in one body nor continues into many bodies, nor continues into other lokas, nor assumes another body. It has neither one body nor other body. It has totally bodiless. Okay? The real nature of the Atma is totally bodiless. Therefore, bodiless means it is not at all an individual. It is all-pervasive Atma. It is pure consciousness, all-pervasive and secondless. Okay, pure Atma, all-pervasive. It is not at all an individual. It doesn't enjoy any qualifications, any characters of an individual. So it is totally devoid of any individual characters and qualifications, because it ceases to be very individual. See, this is important. This Advaitam alone talks of Atma is non-individual. All other darshanas other than Advaita, they talk of Atma Jnanam, but their Atma is, it goes to Vaikuntha. It is a bhakti. It does bhakti, moksha, everything. But even in moksha, Atma continues to be an individual according to them. According to non-Advaitins, Atma continues to be an individual Atma, that is Jivatma, even in the moksha. That means in Brahmaloka. Even in Brahmaloka, it continues to be individual. It is not free from individuality. That means it is not all pervasive. It is not non-individual according to them. But Advaitins say Atma is not an individual. That means it is connected with neither one body nor more bodies. Okay? It is neither in one loka nor in other loka. No lokas at all. No bodies at all. And there is nothing other than it. It is all alone. The Chaitanyam is all alone and self-existing. Okay. This Atma Jnanam is not there until you get the Atman as all-pervasive, infinite. Until you understand the Atman to be infinite and non-dual, you are ignorant. Because it is due to Adhyasa alone, you see yourself to be individual. This is important because, I tell you this we have to emphasize again and again. Because there are some Vedantins, even among the Advaitins, they try to present, note this important point which I am going to say. This is important point. Even among the Advaitins, some people are trying to present Jnani as an individual. This is a very big mistake, note it. They present Jnani as an individual. But here he says, the very individuality is Adhyasa. The very individuality is Ajnanam. And the real Jnanam is knowing oneself to be a non-individual. So the Jnani is a Jnani only when he knows himself to be not an individual. This is the most important. Until you become free from your sense of individuality, you are not. Until you discover, until you intuit yourself to be a non-individual, but only you are all-pervasive, non-dual consciousness, until that time, whatever you know about yourself, all that is Ajnanam. Ajnanam means a misunderstanding about yourself. Okay, this is most important because, I repeat, some of the Advaitins have been presenting that an enlightened man, an enlightened person is an individual. But you see, enlightenment, after enlightenment, he is never an individual. Individuality may appear to the worldly standpoint, but himself is not at all an individual. In fact, the very individuality is due to the misunderstanding, due to ignorance. Transcending the individuality is real enlightenment. So once you are free from your individuality, you are connected with neither one body nor many bodies. Neither you can enter into one loka or many lokas. Okay, that means no movement is possible because you are not at all an individual. You are all pervasive, non-dual consciousness. There is nothing other than you. Everything is yourself. The whole entire existence is yourself. You are an all-pervasive, non-dual being. Okay, this non-dual being is not an individual. It doesn't see anybody other than himself. Every being on the earth is, every object, every living being is oneself. Everything is inseparable from his Atma. This understanding is found only in Advaita Darshana. Okay, all other people retain a minute, a refined individuality, a purified individuality, a noble individuality, yet it is an individual. See, all other people other than Advaitins, they retain individuality. It is a noble individuality, a loving individuality, very sattvic individual, but he continues to be individual even in moksha, that means even in Vaikuntha or even in Brahmaloka. They openly assert, you can't lose your individuality. Individuality is your very nature. That's what they say. That's what they say, non-Advaitins. Advaita is the only philosophy only darshana which says you are never an individual. Neither you have been, nor you are, nor you will be. Okay? You have never been an individual. In your real nature, you are a non-individual. You are an infinite being. Note this. You are an infinite being, timeless being, beyond space and time, beyond subject-object duality. You are by yourself. In fact, it can be addressed by no word. There is no word to talk about it. In any individuality, however noble, however refined, however purified, individuality itself is due to Adhyasa. Okay, the individuality, however refined, however purified, okay, however noble, is still an individual. That individuality is Adhyasa. He continues to have samsara because samsara means dependency is samsara. As long as you have a second thing, you have to adjust to somebody, you have to depend on somebody, you have to accommodate somebody. As long as there is somebody other than you, you are not totally free. This is what Advaita says. As long as you have another being other than you, you become limited. You may be a noble person, you may be pure person, you may be very highly mature person, but still you are an individual. That very individuality shows your incompleteness. It shows your lack of freedom, complete freedom, because you are bound to adjust with others. Okay, therefore, individuality in any form, either in a crude form or a cruel, rude form, animalistic form, or a little humanistic form, or in a saintly divine form. See, individuality can exist in a crude animalistic form, in a humanistic form. That means Jiva Bhava can exist in a Pashu Bhava, Pashu Rupa, Manushya Rupa, Devata Rupa. Jiva Bhava can have fluctuate between these three forms. An individuality or Jiva Bhava can exist in an animalistic form, andre Pashu Rupa, in a Manushya Rupa or Devata Rupa. In all these forms, in any of these forms, you exist, you are an individual. That means you may be a better person, but not totally free from all kinds of suffering, all kinds of samsara. Okay, therefore, a refined, a nice, pure, refined, mature person is also Jiva only. So the very individuality, that I am somebody and there is something other than me, these two things, I am somebody and there is something other than me, this very notion itself is Adhyasa. See, this only Advaita says that you are an individual and there is something other than you, you are related to it. Your relation may be very loving relationship. Your relation may be very noble, very refined, yet it is a relation. See, however noble the relationship is, however refined the relationship, the very relationship is samsara. Note it. Samsara means there is a dependency. There is a dependency. There is a lack of freedom. You have to accommodate, you have to adjust to others. You can't enjoy the total freedom. Dvaitadhi bhayam bhavati udaram antaram kurute athatasya bhayam bhavati. Upanishad says, even if there is a little, even if there is a trace of a little of Dvaitam, there is a fear. There is a fear, there is samsara. Even if you have a little, that I am somebody and there is something other than me, this is enough to create a fear in you. See how beautifully Upanishad says, Udara mantarang kurute atatasya bhayam bhavati. Even if you see a little bit of difference, the relation, because once there are two, there is a relation. The relation may be a noble relationship, the loving relationship, however lovable, however noble, however divine relationship, the relation itself is a dependency. Once there is a dependency, you lack the naturalness, spontaneity in it. Okay, once it is a relationship, you lack the spontaneity in it. The lack of spontaneity is called bondage. Okay, have you noticed at this point? The lack of spontaneity, because when can you be spontaneous? Only when you are self-existing, and existing all alone without a second thing. You are existing all alone, all-inclusive existence. Even there is an all-inclusive existence, pure existence, existence and nothing but existence, nothing other than you. Then you are spontaneous. Then you are totally free. Your very existence is spontaneous. No thought is required to be able to exist. In non-duality, no thought is required to be able to existence. Existence is not a notion. Note this. Existence is not a notion. Existence is spontaneous. It is self-existence. Consciousness is self-consciousness. Consciousness is Swayam Prakasha, self-illumination. Consciousness is self-shining. Self-shining is not a notion. See the difference? What is self-shining? If you have a notion about yourself, however noble, you are not self-shining. Self-shining means you have no thought about yourself. There is no notion about yourself. How you are, what you are, that I am. Even this thought is not there. See, that I am, ನಾನು ಇದ್ದೇನೆ, ಈವನ್ ಇಷ್ಟು ಆದರೂ ಪ್ರತ್ಯಯವಿಲ್ಲ, ವೃತ್ತಿ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಆವಾಗಲೇ ಸ್ವಯಂ ಪ್ರಕಾಶ. It is only then that you become ಸ್ವಯಂ ಪ್ರಕಾಶ. Okay, that I exist. Therefore, I am like this is a notion, is a vritti. I exist, even this thought is a notion. Even this thought is not self-shining. Then you are not spontaneous. Self-shining is, there is no notion. How to understand ಸ್ವಯಂ ಪ್ರಕಾಶ? ಸ್ವಯಂ ಪ್ರಕಾಶ ಅಂದರೆ ಏನು, ಹೇಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳುವುದು? ಯಾವ ವೃತ್ತಿ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಬೆಳಗುವುದನ್ನು ಸ್ವಯಂ ಪ್ರಕಾಶ. ಸ್ವಯಂ ಪ್ರಕಾಶ ಈಸ್, there is no ವೃತ್ತಿ and it is self-shining. There is no vritti. Every vritti involves a notion about yourself. Vritti is individuality. That you have a notion about yourself. ನಿನ್ನ ಕುರಿತು ನಿನಗೆ ವೃತ್ತಿ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಅದೇ ಜೀವಭಾವ. ನಿನ್ನ ಕುರಿತು ನಾನು ಹೀಗೆ ಅನಿಸಿದ್ದರೆ ಜೀವಭಾವ. ಜ್ಞಾನ ಈಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಡೀಪ್ ಸ್ಲೀಪ್. ಸುಷುಪ್ತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ, ಇನ್ ಸುಷುಪ್ತಿ, ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಯು ಎಕ್ಸಿಸ್ಟ್ ವಿತೌಟ್ ಎ notion about yourself, neither about yourself nor about anything else. No notion whatsoever. Okay, when there is no notion, there is just an existence, there is just an awareness without any thought about anything. Neither you have a thought about yourself nor a thought about others. There is no me and other. There is just an existence, there is just a consciousness. Okay, this is called self-shining. Self-shining means there is no notion about a consciousness. When consciousness is not a notion, it is sakshi. When consciousness, you have a notion about yourself, that I, the very thought of I makes you an individual. Okay, see how beautiful it is. Shankara's explanation, Advaitin's explanation. Self-shining is, it just shines. Self means, what the very word means self. Self-shining, what does it mean? Means it is independent of vritti. It is independent of a thought. It is independent of a notion. If it shines through notion, then you are an individual, you are a jiva. If there is a consciousness in the form of a notion, in the form of a vritti, consciousness is shining through vritti, then that is not Swayam Prakasha. Swayam Prakasha means there is consciousness without any thought. You have no thought about even yourself. You have no notion about yourself. There is no notion about yourself. All notions are negated and you stand as consciousness. Consciousness without a notion. Oh, how beautiful it is. There is consciousness. If a notion comes, it is illumined. If a notion is not there, that means it is a basis of notion and no notion. The self-illumination consciousness is a basis of both thought and no thought. Thought and no thought. It illumines both, so itself can be called neither thought nor no thought. Consciousness is self-shining, neither it is a thought nor an absence of thought. It is itself. See how beautiful it is. It is itself. It is neither a thought. Therefore, any consciousness through a thought, that means you have a something that consciousness sees this way. I am. That is a notion. That is an individuality. But consciousness has no, the real consciousness, the pure consciousness has no notion. That I exist, even this notion doesn't exist. That I am doesn't exist. That I am self-shining, even that notion is not there. Even that notion melts away, gets negated. Okay? It gets falsified. It is self-existing pure consciousness. Okay? This is the beauty of it. Self-consciousness means negating any notion about consciousness. Negating all notions about consciousness. Consciousness standing all by itself, without any notion. Neither of a past notion nor of a present notion. See, there are two ways of notions. I am so and so. Or, in contrast with a notion means, I had a notion before, now I don't have a notion. Even that is a notion. Okay. So, there is neither there is a direct notion of I, myself, nor there is a opposition of the notion. Nor you can say that I am free from a notion. I have no notion. Even that is a notion. Therefore, it is just consciousness all by itself. That is called self-shining. So therefore, this self-shining Atma, until you know this Atma, any thought you have, any notion you have about yourself, okay, any notion you have about yourself, however noble the notion is, however pure you have, however humble you are, still it is an individuality. Okay, you may be very, very humble, highly humble, totally surrendered. Total surrender means you don't insist on anything. Okay? Surrender means what? You don't insist on anything. You don't make any demand about anything. You are ready to accept whatever happens. You leave it to Ishvara. You leave in the hands of Ishvara. And whatever he does in whatever manner, you are readily accepting. Okay? You don't demand anything. You don't insist on anything. You don't wish anything differently. It is just whatever happens, you accept. But even this Sharanagati, even the one who is accepting that individuality, a subtle, a gentle individuality, a subtle individuality, a purified individuality, a humble individuality continues. But in non-dual Chaitanyam, Advitiya Chaitanyam, even that humble individuality won't be there. Even that unassuming individuality, very humble individuality, surrendered individuality. Because even to surrender, you require to be individual. Because there is God, to Him you surrender. Surrender means what? You accept whatever he says, you don't make any demand, you don't insist, you don't even expect. Whatever he does, that is my expectation. Whatever Ishvara does, I am readily standing approval, standing acceptance. Whatever he does, I have already given my acceptance to it. I have already given my acceptance to it. Whatever you do, that is mine. That is my pleasure. Whatever you do, that is my pleasure. Even if you give me pain, I accept. Even if you ignore me, I accept. Anything I do, I accept you. So here, that I remain totally in your hands. I don't insist anything. Whatever is your wish, I accept it as my wish. But even to this much of surrender, there is a subtle individuality. You watch this. I think all that requires to what I said requires watching in with yourself. Even that a subtle surrender, total surrender they call it. Even in the total surrender, there is a subtle, humble, very humble individuality. But even that is a samsara. Because that humble individuality is a notion. Then once it is a notion, it can't remain all the time the same. Once in a while it fluctuates. See, even the most humble notion slightly fluctuates. Once it gets slightly fluctuation, the humility becomes a small degree. A small point humility becomes less. A little expectations starts. God, why don't you be pleased with me? Why don't you be kind to me? That's all. That expectation starts. So even that is a notion, but the pure consciousness is a free from notion. What is free from notion is self-existing. It is existing on its own. There is no thought, there is no notion. There is no notion, neither fluctuating nor humbled notion. There is submissive thought, a submissive notion of myself, a humbled notion of myself. Okay, a meek notion about myself is also notion. Okay, even the meek is also a notion, entertained notion. But Atma Jnanam, self-shining Atma, is not an assumed notion. In fact, there is no notion whatsoever. All notions are negated. Negated means it is not an absence of something. All notions are negated as never existing. Neither existed before, nor now, nor ever will be. Okay, it is free from any notion, spontaneous and self-existing. Totally spontaneous, totally self-existing. It is a choiceless existence. It is a choiceless consciousness. Because however humble, surrendered being you are, however surrendered individuality, however humble individuality, the humility is your choice. Okay, surrender is your choice. You see the point? Surrender is a choice. Humility is a choice. You offer yourself to Ishvara is a choice. Although you make a choice, the very one who is making the choice is an individual. He is existing. He has not disappeared. But in self-shining Atma, Swayam Prakasha Atma, there is no choice. See the difference between this? A Brahmalokavasi Jiva, Atyanta humble but not choiceless. Even in a humble state, the humility, the surrender is a choice you made. And you continue in the choice. You made a choice and you continue in the choice. The moment the choice slackens, becomes weak, a choice ದುರ್ಬಲವಾದರೆ ಸಾಕು, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಫ್ಲಕ್ಚುಯೇಟ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. If the choice slackens, okay, but the Swayam Prakasha Self-shining means no choice at all, because there is nobody to choose. It is on its own. That's why we say it is a self-shining, choiceless shining. Self-shining means choiceless consciousness. There is no choose. There is nothing to choose. There is nobody to choose. Choice need not mean arrogance. Choice means humble. Even the humility is a choice. Therefore, in that choice, there is a thought. There is an individuality. A humble man, a person surrenders himself. A surrendered self is there. It is not erasing the self. See, a surrendered is a self. It's not erased self. You watch this, note this. In surrender, there is some humble self, very subtle self, very, very loving, very surrender. Surrender means what? No insisting at all. No demand, no demand, no demand, no insistence, no expectation. Whatever happened, that means expectation is already surrendered to Ishvara. Whatever you, there is only accepting is there. There is no expectation, but there is an acceptance is there. I don't expect anything. Whatever you say, that is my expectation. Whatever you do, I accept it. That I accept self-acceptance. The very accepting self is there. That is a choice. Okay? The acceptance is a choice. Am I making sense to you? Or am I confusing more? Okay? I hope I have not confused you. So there is a self. But this self-acceptance is a very humble self. This is required as a sadhaka. In sadhaka, it is required. For Vedanta Vichara, this humble self is required. Very surrendering self is required. This Antakarana Shuddhi, very humble self, selfless self, that means without abhimana. Selfless self, very humble, very surrendering, very accepting, all accepting. Very humble, all surrendering, all accepting. But all surrendering, all acceptance, is it a self-existing fact, or is it a choice? You see the difference? All surrender, all acceptance, rejecting nothing, all acceptance, all surrender. Is it a choice or self-existing? If it is a self-existing fact, then you are not doing, you don't exist. It is there on its own, Vastu Tantra. But if you are making a choice, then you exist. Very humble, subdued you, but you exist. Very humble, very subdued, surrendered self. Even in that surrendered state, there is a humble choice. What is the choice? Acceptance is a choice. You accept whatever happens. You accept your condition, you accept his condition. Whatever Ishvara does, you accept. This, I am not telling it is anything wrong. It is a very beautiful. What I mean to say is, at the level of choice, this is the maximum you can do. This is the maximum you can reach by choosing. By choosing, this is the maximum you can choose. Beyond that, choice is not possible. And that is the maximum you can choose. That is the last point of the choose. Therefore, we say Brahma Loka is the highest Loka. Beyond that, there is no Loka. You understand this point? The highest choice, the humblest being is your choice. All your choice reaches there, not beyond that. The choice reaches up to this point, that you surrender, you accept whatever happens. Okay. But there is a choice. It is not Vastu Tantra. It is a choice, you made it. And even after making a choice, you are continuing in that choice. That choice you continuously make it, remake. By continuously making choice, you make a habit of it. Okay? You make a habit of it. You make a samskara of it. But it is an acquired habit. It is an accustomed habit. Okay? Because you have been making a choice of being humble. So when you make again and again, it becomes a habit. It is what you call, how to say that? It is a orientation. You become oriented to it. That you surrender. It becomes a habit. Your mind becomes habituated, accustomed to it. So you remain in that. Just as any habit you keep on doing, after a long time, it becomes easy to do because the doing becomes a habit with you. So out of the habit it does it, but still there is a choice, a subtle choice. Watch it. I think if you want Advaita, then this is where you have to recognize. It is a very humble choice, but there is a very little humble choice, a subtle choice. But yet, it is a choice, because even in a surrendered state, even in Brahmaloka, there is a choice. You offer it to Ishvara, but you remain, you love to continue in that offered state. In that surrendered state, you love to continue. That you love to continue, you are making continuous choice. You are making a choice. Continuously you are making a choice. Or when you make a choice again and again, the thought becomes a habit. But it is a thought. It is a thought. Okay. Therefore, Brahmaloka is the highest thing, the maximum thing you can reach by your choice. Beyond that, you only have to negate by jnanam. Then the jnanam is not a choice. It only points out there is awareness. That it is a pen. This is a pen. You look at it and you discover. Discovery is not a choice. See? Discovery or a dawn of knowledge. The dawning of knowledge is not a choice. Discovery is not a choice. You just pay attention to it. There is a knowledge. That's all. Knowledge takes place. You have no choice in it. It is Swatah Siddham. Neither anybody can give nor somebody can take. Here in Vaikuntha or in Brahmaloka, you offer yourself. Total surrender. But when you completely surrender, you feel that Ishvara has accepted you. Okay? You feel that Ishvara has accepted you and he has received you. You get a signal in your mind that he has received you. He has accepted you as himself. So that signal, a feeling you get that he has accepted you. So it is a result of that subtle choice, that he has accepted you, that he has received you, that he has blessed you, a feeling of blessing, a thought of anugraha. You feel that it has come to you on its own. You have not chosen it. You have only chosen. Your choice is only in offering. That you are accepted is Ishvara's acceptance. That Ishvara gives his acceptance on its own voluntarily. See, you feel that Ishvara has given his acceptance, his blessing, his reception voluntarily. Ishvara has given his approval. His acceptance he has given voluntarily. Yet, even if you say it has come voluntarily, I have not chosen Ishvara's anugraha. I have only offered myself. That anugraha, that blessing he has given. Blessing is not my choice. See, you may say, surrender is my choice, blessing is Ishvara's choice. Okay? Surrender is my choice. Blessing is Ishvara's voluntary gift. Ishvara's voluntary gift is his blessing. His anugraha is his voluntary gift. Voluntary gift. Surrender is my choice. Okay. So, in your surrender, when you continue in that state of surrender, there is a subtle choice, very humble choice. And you feel that Ishvara has given you, has gifted you. You feel that you are overwhelmed. You have been accepted. You have been accepted. You have been received. That experience you get that you have been received. You have been accepted. This is Upasana Phalam. So this is good, but this is also a notion. This is not Swatasiddha Atma. In Vaikunta or in Brahmaloka, whatever you call, in Kailasa, this is the maximum state you reach through notion. Ishvara's blessing is a notion. Your surrendered state is a notion. That you have received, it is a Sakshatkara notion. It is a notion of Ishvara's blessing has received you, has overwhelmed you. It has overwhelmed you and it has just accepted you, absorbed you into him, overwhelmed you. But it is a notion. It is a divya notion. It is a divine thought. It is a divine mind, but still it is a mind. It's not bad. It's the greatest thing. A beautiful, blissful experience, you have it. All bhaktas, all upasanas reach maximum that point. Okay? And it is a very great experience. I am not underestimating. Let nobody underestimate it. Even Advaitin not underestimate it. It is the highest state you reach through your mind. The purest mind. The subtlest mind. Okay? But in that mind, when you do vichara, when Shastra points out Tattvamasi, even that thought gets negated. That badhitam bhavati. There is no surrendering and Ishvara gifting me his blessing. Ishvara accepting me and giving me his voluntary blessing. I am totally surrendering. Ishvara is voluntarily accepting me. Even this is a thought. Because even this thought doesn't exist in self-existing Atma. Okay. Self-existing is choiceless Atma. You are not offering. Offering is a choice. Ishvara's voluntary gift also is a new acquiring. It is not self-existing. It is a newly acquired. It is a gift of Ishvara is something you got it. Newly got it, which was not existing before and now it has come. But Brahman is that you are Brahman, that you are Ananda Swarupa is self-existing. Neither you choose it nor somebody Ishvara gives you. Ishvara doesn't give you because you are Ishvara. There is no giving and taking. Neither it is a voluntary gift nor it is a total acceptance. Neither it is a voluntary gift of Ishvara nor it is a total unconditional acceptance of it. Because there is no giving and taking. There is no giving and receiving. It is self-existing. It is Swatasiddham. Swatasiddham can only be discovered by removing Ajnanam. By falsifying Ajnanam, you come to discover that you are Brahman. By the dropping of the very you. When you say you are Brahman, the very notion of you, notion of I gets negated. The notion of I gets negated. Whatever is self-existing Brahman. Choiceless consciousness. You don't choose to become Brahman. Okay. You don't choose. You exist. That self-existing fact is revealed by the Shastra. See the difference? So that surrender is a beautiful thing. That is required for any Vedantin, but the self-existing Atma is nobody's choice. Neither Ishvara can give you, nor you can receive it. That I am Brahman, neither you can receive it, because if you are existing as a recipient andre ಸ್ವೀಕರಿಸುವವನು. If you are existing as a recipient, then you are not Brahman. If there is Ishvara gifting you, that means Ishvara cannot gift Ishvara cannot give to himself. If Ishvara is gifting, means he considers you as something separate. Yes, he considers separate and gifts it, then you are not Brahman. If you are not Brahman, then it is not a self-existing one, because Ishvara has gifted you. He has not gifted it so far. Now he has gifted you. You have to receive it. So, in this receiving, it is not self-existing. It is newly acquired. Therefore, Vaikuntha is a newly acquired thing. It is apraptasya praptihi. It is not swatasiddha. Brahmaloka is not swatasiddha. Ishvaranugraha, Vaikuntha prapti or Brahmaloka prapti is not swatasiddha. But it is prapti. But Brahman is not prapti. Brahma Jnanam, Brahma Swarupam is not a prapti. It is not an achievement. It is not an acquiring. It is self-existing. Okay. It is self-existing. Even this word self-existing is shining in the Atma. The very Vakya is shining in the Atma. The world is shining in the Atma. The me thought also is one with the consciousness. Okay, that is the self-existing Atma. Shastra reveals it is self-existing. You have no choice. Nobody gives you, because it is already you. It is already you. Ishvara also cannot give you your Brahmatvam. Ishvara cannot make you Brahma, because you are already Brahma. And you can't be anything other than it. You have no choice not to be Brahma. See? If you refuse, no, I don't want to be Brahma, you have no choice. ನಾನು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಇರೋದು ಇಷ್ಟವಿಲ್ಲ, ನನಗೆ ಬೇಡ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮತ್ವ, ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ನೋ ಚಾಯ್ಸ್. ನಿಮಗೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಂಕಲ್ಪಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಕಾಶವಿಲ್ಲ, ನಿಮಗೆ ವಿಲ್ಲಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಕಾಶವಿಲ್ಲ. ನೀವು ನಾನು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಇಷ್ಟವಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ಏನು ನಡೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಇದ್ದೇ ಇದೆ, ಸ್ವತಃ ಸಿದ್ಧ ವಸ್ತು. ಇದು ಪೆನ್ನು ಎಂದು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ನನಗೆ ಪೆನ್ನು ಬೇಡ ಅಂದರೆ ಅದು ಬೇರೆ ವಿಷಯ. ಇಫ್ ಯು ಡೋಂಟ್ ವಾಂಟ್ ಪೆನ್, ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಓಕೆ, ಬಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಪೆನ್, ಯು ಕಾಂಟ್ ಚೂಸ್ ಅದರ್ವೈಸ್, ಯು ಕಾಂಟ್ ವಿಶ್ ಇಟ್ ಅದರ್ವೈಸ್. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದೇರ್, ಸ್ವತಃ ಸಿದ್ಧ. Therefore, that you are Brahman is a self-existing fact over which you have no choice. Neither you can choose it, nor you can reject it. Neither you can choose to be Brahman, nor you can refuse to be Brahman. It is beyond your choice and refusal. What is beyond your choice and refusal is self-existing. Okay, neither you can choose, nor you can refuse. The very thought of choice and refusal, refusing is also choice. Opting is a choice, refusing is choice. So the very choice is negated. Choice, by way of negating the choice, the self-existing fact that you are Brahman is revealed. Okay, the self-existing fact that you are Brahman is revealed. So that Brahmatvam is not a matter of option nor a refusal. You have no option whether to accept it or reject it. The very acceptance or rejection is a choice, is an option. The very option is negated. How? You don't do it. The very Shastra Vakya, when it teaches, it reveals the fact in that Swatah Siddha Atma, all choices automatically don't exist. In fact, negating the choice also is a wrong way of telling. You don't negate it, you come to understand there is no choice. The very choosing individuality doesn't exist apart from Brahman. There is self-existing Swatasiddha Brahman, choiceless consciousness. Okay, time is up. So, next we shall. This small point is their one-page point. Once we complete this one-page point, I think we can proceed with another topic. But this topic is hanging around. Let us see. I think after this we are coming to a last topic of Sugama. I think if we finish this one or two talks, we are coming to last topic. That's all. Last topic of Sugama. Okay. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Tat Sat.